Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday, March 19th. Spring officially gets underway on Wednesday. Very interesting weather pattern shaping up for the next week to 10 days or so. Even though spring begins tomorrow, there are some wintry threats on the horizon for the northeast U.S. and even potentially for the mid-Atlantic region sometime next week. This is a very interesting time of the year for weather systems. In the upper part of the atmosphere, when you get into the early spring, there tends to be a shortening of the distance between upper level troughs and ridges. Basically, more of a blocking type pattern can set up, and this allows for some wild variation from one part of the country to another. One area could have very dry conditions with very mild temperatures, while another area is stuck underneath a deep upper level trough and cold, potentially snowy type of weather pattern. And we have a couple of systems to deal with over the next week to 10 days that again will feature some of these slow moving yet powerful upper level waves of energy, and we'll talk about that over the next several minutes. The first real time period of interest will be this Thursday and Friday, primarily the northeast U.S., even extending down in the mid-Atlantic region. There can be some snow shower activity, for example, on Friday. And then certainly there's some interest in a potential system by the middle part of next week in the mid-Atlantic region. Let's start off by looking at the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps from last night's ensemble run of the GFS. And again, what I was talking about here, notice all these waves, in this case, these deep upper level lows showing up on the map of North America right now. Again, not too much distance between them, and you often get an upper level flow this time of the year that can cause a blocking pattern. This, for example, is the classic upper level flow for what we call an omega block, because the upper level flow pattern resembles the Greek letter omega. Strong ridging here in the middle, and yet deep upper level lows kind of surrounding that omega block in the atmosphere. So let's just move forward here. These maps from tropicaltidbits.com. This is as we begin the day on Tuesday. And let's just keep moving forward here. And then notice here this upper level feature starting to show up by early Thursday. It's starting to look like there'll be quite an intense development of low pressure along the mid-Atlantic coastline during the day on Thursday. At the same time, colder air is pushing into the northeast U.S. Looks like it could turn out to be a day with periods of rain in D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. And then as this low pressure system right here intensifies along the mid-Atlantic or northeastern coastline, enough colder air could be drawn in so that the rain changes over to snow in interior sections of the northeastern part of the country, potentially even into the New York City metro's region, for example. That is not the end of the story here, though. This is now going into early Friday morning. And notice kind of a secondary push of upper level energy arrives on Friday. Basically a secondary cold front. Looks like it'll be quite an unstable day on Friday with windy and cold conditions in the mid-Atlantic region, in the northeast U.S., and it very well could end up seeing numerous snow showers throughout the northeastern part of the nation on Friday, maybe even some isolated snow squalls. We'll have to fine-tune that forecast over the next couple of days. So again, the first real threat of interest here in the northeast U.S. and even down into the mid-Atlantic region comes on Thursday and Friday. Intensifying low pressure along the mid-Atlantic and then New England coastlines, colder air getting drawn into the system, and a secondary cold front arrives on Friday. Let's keep moving forward then we kind of have a break in the action. Weekend certainly looks like it'll start off on the cold side here in the I-95 corridor region, but by Sunday, probably 60 degrees in many spots. But notice what happens as we get beyond that. Here we are into the early part of next week. Nothing showing up right here, but then watch what happens as we get into the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. Deep upper level low starts to develop across the southeastern part of the nation. Again, we're looking at 500 millibar height anomalies here. At the same time, notice the flow here across Canada from the northwest to the southeast. In other words, colder air will be headed into the northeast, into the mid-Atlantic region at the same time this deep upper level low intensifies across the southeast. If the timing is just right, and it takes perfect timing this time of the year, this could result in some snowfall even in the mid-Atlantic region in the middle part of next week. We're talking Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame, a week away, so a lot of time to focus in on that over the next several days. But even at this particular time, by the middle of next week, notice deep upper level low here, another one here, another one here, and another one here. A very active weather pattern. Looks like it's shaping up for the last part of March and going into the month of April. Well, let's now take a look at the 500 millibar for the CONUS, the continental United States here over the next several days. This is from last night's GFS model run. We're looking at vorticity maximum, or basically the waves of energy in the upper part of the atmosphere. Relatively dry but chilly today and tomorrow. Clouds will start to increase late tomorrow. Let's now move forward here. We have a couple waves of interest here by tomorrow showing up here. One over the center part of the nation and another over the western Great Lakes. Basically, cold front arrives during the day on Thursday, and with this vigorous feature in the upper part of the atmosphere, low pressure is likely to form and intensify along the mid-Atlantic coastline on Thursday. It looks like that will result in periods of rain, maybe ending up being quite a decent rainfall for D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Again, at the same time, colder air starts to get wrapped into the system. Ultimately, that low pressure could pull enough cold air in for a changeover to snow in interior sections of the northeast U.S., let's say upstate Pennsylvania, interior New York, and interior New England, maybe as far south and east as the coastline of New York City along the New England coastline. There could be a changeover, but right now more favorable for that to happen interior sections of the northeast U.S. But then look upstream here. We have another powerful wave of energy. Here we go. By Friday morning, we have intensifying low pressure along the New England coastline, yet there's a secondary impressive maximum, vorticity maximum wave of energy in the upper part of the atmosphere. We'll have windy, cold conditions on Friday as a result of this piece of energy, and it looks like could be numerous snow showers breaking out in the northeast U.S. on Friday, maybe even as far south as the D.C. metro region. With this kind of instability, cannot rule out the chance of isolated or scattered snow squalls on Friday. Certainly looks like a cold air mass, a cold shot for Friday going into the upcoming weekend. Let's now move forward here. By Friday evening, a vigorous upper level low over the northeast U.S. And that cold shot really dominates the weather scene on Friday and Saturday. But then by Sunday, we'll get up to 60 degrees in much of the mid-Atlantic region's I-95 corridor region. This is Sunday, a little bit of a upper level ridge moves into the mid-Atlantic region. Again, 60 degrees possible in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City for Sunday. That's after a cold Saturday. Then let's keep moving forward here, and we talked about the potential system for the middle part of next week. We just have intensifying waves of energy dropping into the southeastern U.S. By the middle part of next week. Right here, kind of a impressive looking wave, upper level low feature of 500 millibars by Tuesday of next week. Again, at the same time, colder air will make an attempt to move from central Canada into the northeast U.S., and we'll have to watch. This could be quite an interesting time period here. In fact, if low pressure ends up impacting the mid-Atlantic region, let's say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame of next week, at the same time cold air arrives. Way in the distant future right now, we're talking a week ahead of time. Potentially this could stay suppressed to the south of the mid-Atlantic region. Still a lot of things could happen, but an interesting possibility for the middle of next week. Well, let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps from last night's 6C GFS model run. Begin the day here with cold conditions, basically below freezing everywhere in the mid-Atlantic region right now. Temperatures as low as the lower 20s in some of the suburbs of Philadelphia, below normal for this time of the year. Let's move ahead. We have basically chilly and dry conditions through the day on Wednesday. By the way, could be a bright moon tonight, full moon next couple of nights. It happens to be the third supermoon in a row, the last one of the year, and those are brighter appear bigger than normal, and where there are clear skies, and there certainly can be some clear skies this evening, look for that very bright moon. Then let's now go into the afternoon hours on Wednesday. Clouds will tend to increase late Wednesday and certainly thicken up tomorrow night. A couple of features here as we get into the early morning hours of Thursday. A cold front sliding in from the west. Meanwhile, look at that low pressure area forming over the eastern part of North Carolina, and that has that support in the upper part of the atmosphere we just talked about. It will continue to intensify, and it may end up being quite a rainy day on Thursday in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. And then that low pressure area pulls up to the north and east. Here we are at the Thursday evening time frame here. At this time, colder air starts to filter in, and indeed there can be some changeover to snow in interior sections of the northeast U.S. Late Thursday night time frame. We'll have to monitor those chances over the next 48 hours or so. Then by the time we get into Friday morning, intense low pressure area off of the Maine coastline, and look at this upper level feature here causing some snow shower activity across southeastern Canada. Very windy conditions here on Friday in the mid-Atlantic region, in the northeast U.S. Numerous snow showers can break out with that secondary cold front, that second wave of energy in the upper part of the atmosphere, maybe even a snow squall or two. We'll have to monitor those chances over the next couple of days. Cold. This particular model run has snow showers going all the way down into the Philly metro region, New York City metro region, perhaps even can extend down to the D.C. area on Friday we're talking about. Then the cold air will certainly still be evident as we start the upcoming weekend. Quite chilly conditions on Saturday, likely dry with some sunshine. Then high pressure moves overhead for Sunday. A noticeably milder afternoon on Sunday. Again, 60 degrees possible in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. Then we'll have to watch for the possibility by the middle part of next week. Notice the combination of colder air sliding southeast from central Canada towards the northeast U.S. Lots of moisture with that upper level wave of energy down across the southeast U.S. Lots of moisture starting to appear here by later Monday going into the day on Tuesday. And we'll just have to watch this low pressure area. At the same time, colder air moves into the northeast. Again, this is still a week away, but intriguing possibilities. This could end up being suppressed south of the Mid-Atlantic region, where the precipitation stays south of D.C. and Philadelphia, for example. But if, in fact, this wave of low pressure rides up along the Atlantic seaboard, at the same time that cold air arrives, it could become quite interesting around the middle part of next week. So we'll monitor that over the next several days. A lot going on over the next week to 10 days or so. The first real interesting wave will occur on Thursday going into Friday. Friday could be a day with snow showers in the Mid-Atlantic region in the northeast U.S. And then we'll have to watch for interesting possibilities for the middle part of next week. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.